The ICPC chairman, as it is now, is a brother to Farouk Aliu. Farouk Aliu is from Jigawa State. Farouk Aliu is an APC chieftain. How do you expect justice there?
Now, let us do scenario now. Should in case PDP does not have a candidate in the forthcoming election, I want you to give us an answer. Don't avoid the question. Which of these candidates are you going to back in the presidential elections? President Tinubu, Atiku Abubakar, Shewore, or Peter Obi, or Adebayo Adewale? You have to give me a name. Who will you back?
I will back Goodluck Jonathan.
No. Goodluck Jonathan is on the PDP. I'm saying if PDP does not field, ends up not fielding a candidate, which of these? You have to give us a name.
I cannot wish my party will not field a candidate when a matter is in court. It is something that is pregnant. You cannot tell me to choose outside the scope of my party when the matter has not been finally determined.
Okay, Goodluck Jonathan is your candidate.
Yes.
Who is your second candidate after Goodluck Jonathan? This is Niger Unfiltered on SYMFONI TV. My name is Olawale Oluwade, and my guest today is Alhaji Sani Umar, former special advisor to the president on media and publicity in the administration of President Goodluck Jonathan, in the office of the Vice President Namadi Sambo. He's also an African Democratic Congress chieftain. PDP chieftain. He's also a People's Democratic Party chieftain, the Turaki-led faction of the PDP. Alhaji Sani, good afternoon.
Thank you, Ali. How are you?
I'm good. Nice to have you again.
It is my pleasure coming before you again for your, incisive interrogation.
For your also pleasure to have you for your incisive responses and contributions.
Thank you.
The last time we were here, it was a great session, and we're talking about Gbajabiamila and all of that.
Exactly.
You're welcome, Alhaji.
Thank you.
Without further ado, let's get on with our business today. Now, INEC has published the full list of presidential candidates, their running mates, their academic qualifications, etc., professional, where they've worked, and all of those. Looking at this reality, especially that the incumbent president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, did not present basic educational qualifications as something he did in 1999. This time around, there isn't any. Even where he had worked, Deloitte, now we don't have that. And can you speak to this about, is our democracy growing? Is our democracy improving? How come we have such minimum standards of leadership selection?
You see, let me start by saying that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has been a leader of the opposition for a very long time. So when he became, part of the ruling party and now the president of the country, he was doing exactly the opposite of what he has been preaching right from the beginning. It was his type of pressure that led to the setting up. In fact, he didn't even pressurize. It was Eradua's conviction that when he said the elections that brought him to power was flawed and that he was going to, overhaul the electoral system, which he set up the Justice Uwais panel. That report was what President Goodluck Jonathan was implementing. And our elections was gathering momentum. People were clapping. It was Jega who brought in, smart card reader, which was the first electronic device that was used to run our elections. Even though the Supreme Court, in their various judgments, had said that the smart card reader was not intended to supplant the voters' register, but at least it was able to gauge and bring in sanity into the electoral process. Subsequently, the issue of other devices began to come in, up to now, where we now have iRev and so forth and so on. Technology is gradually taking over. But unlike previously, technology has not done good to the system because we have experienced what is called a glitch, which has not given us what we require in terms of transparency, free and fair and accountable election. So having reached this stage, there is a deliberate attempt to continuously manipulate the system. That is why the Electoral Act was very controversial in several respects. There were about 4 issues that were germane. There were issues before, the citizens wanted corrected in the Electoral Act. One was the issue of, direct transmission of results, which was also very important, but they had to use that in the event of, they put a caveat to say in the event of this and that, manual collation actually continued. And the idea is to, to depart from the manual collation system. But they were very adamant and they insisted that manual collation, because they know that the easiest way to manipulate election is using the manual collation system.
You're talking about the lawmakers.
The lawmakers. Secondly, the issue of forgery as, an instrument for election disqualification or election, incompetence to contest election was also removed from the Electoral Act. These are all signs, directed at protecting the political interest of somebody. And when you begin to make laws merely to protect one person and not for the interest of the country, that law collapses even as it is being made. So, to answer your question directly, we are not making progress in terms of democratic process. In fact, we are making it because, as Nigerians rightly observed, the government is trying to win election by all means necessary. Otherwise, there is no way a president will submit only a Chicago State University qualification, to INEC, and there is no primary school attended, no secondary school attended, just to meet the basic constitutional requirement. Because the Constitution says you must be educated at least to a secondary school level. So if you have a degree, it means you have been educated beyond the secondary school level. So you have met the constitutional requirement. But meeting the constitutional requirement, is not sufficient to tell the generality of the people, the public to which you are accountable to, that you have passed through a process and that the process has passed through you. Because we all know, and all of us have done that. We have gone to primary schools, we have gone to secondary school, we have gone to university, and so we are here. So we have a process that has gone up. But the process cannot just start from top and then bottom line, nothing to show for it. So to me, the process is flawed, it is incongruent, and it is not moving, in the right direction.
Okay, Alhaji, you raised 2 very, very critical issues in your initial submissions. Number one is the Electoral Act 2026 as amended that removed forgery as a crime, subject to disqualification of a potential candidate, or even after you have won and opposition take you to court, you are subject to being, your so-called victory is subject to being nullified. Lawmakers removed that. But the one that is even of bigger, I want us for you to even start your further interrogation is, sir, can you explain to Nigerians and the rest of the world who would come across this video, how is it that rather than Nigeria making progress to say, okay, we need to up the ante, the standards of leadership selection in our environment, especially the number one job, president and governor. Rather, we removed it completely and say it does not matter. Because what the Constitution says presently is that you don't even have to have school certificates, just an attempt. Or if the INEC chair or whoever is able to convince himself that you can speak or write, how did we come to this?
Well, it has always been in the system. It's only that we have been witnessing it now because those who are now coming up have no requisite qualification. And so our attention has moved to that direction. Otherwise, don't forget that when Buhari was going to be elected in 2015, the issue of certificate came into play. And the same we Nigerians were the ones who went and were defending Buhari that even if it is NEPA bill, we are ready to take it, to take Buhari as the president. So we have accepted lower qualification. We have reduced the bar. And so it is what is now plaguing us, that we are now getting lower qualified people to continue to rule Nigeria.
Let me ask you pointedly, let me put you on the spot. Is education important for leadership selection?
Of course. The reason why an educated man can be appointed into different ministries. He can be a minister of education today, can be minister of transportation tomorrow, minister of this. It is because he has gotten that management training in school, to be able to manage. Because you are not the one that will do all the legwork. There are people in the ministry that are supposed to do the legwork, but you are supposed to bring your knowledge, your wisdom into play by listening to them and taking advice from them and directing them on what to be done, which is supposed to be right. This gives you that managerial skill, managerial, acumen, and then you will be able to power the ministry to greater heights. So without education, there is no way you can lead people. There is no way you can understand policies. There is no way you can implement policies. So education is very vital.
I want you to speak on this issue of forgery. The contentious section of the Electoral Act 2026 as amended is section 138, subsection 1 and 2. Subsection 1, 1A, 1B, and then 2. That's the subsection that has removed forgery as a grounds for disqualifying either a candidate or even if someone is announced as winner by the Electoral Commission and then other competitors go to court, that such a person cannot be disqualified based on for that. What would have been in the intendment? What could be the minds? What could have been in the minds of the lawmakers to have done this to Nigeria?
Well, it's to protect one individual.
Sorry, Alhaji, I don't understand. What do you mean?
It is intended to protect Tinubu because in 2020,
President Bola Ahmed
Tinubu, because in 2023, the issues surrounding him, his certification and what have you, are all centered around forgery. People have been, for instance, I gave you an instance. His secondary school, in Lagos, he finished in 1970, but the secondary school started operating in 1974. So if you bring a certificate of 1970 to a secondary school that started in 1974, that is forgery. So it has to be done to protect you.
Sorry, Alhaji, I'm sorry to interrupt you. So, are you saying the legislature, the Nigerian legislature, amended our laws for the sake of to protect an individual?
Are you surprised? I can see you, trying to, to stress and to even impress that Nigerian legislature, as if it is a legislature that is independent. Are you talking about this House of Reps and Senate? Are they independent? In your own view, do you see them as being independent? Have you not heard senators complaining that Akpabio will go to president and collect a bill and come on that same day? they will approve it and it will go back. And it is not going to be even debated on the floor of the House. He will just sign it and return it, announce it, sign it and return it back as approved. Is that the type of legislation you are talking about?
Alhaji Sani, how did they get here?
Eh?
How did they get to this point?
Well, because, they were installed. And so they had to do their master's bidding. There was no... in fact, Akpabio's own was even better because he was challenged by Yari.
Abdulaziz Yari.
Abdulaziz Yari, the former governor of Zamfara State. He was challenged, and the contest was very fierce. Very fierce. Akpabio had the day because he had the support of Mr. President. If he didn't have that support of Mr. President, if it has been a level playing field, Yari would have defeated him, hands down. But in the case of the speaker, he was just adopted. There was no any contest.
Alhaji, okay, let's leave that. Now, there are 5 other presidential candidates, about 16 of them actually, if I'm not 16 or 18 presidential candidates in this current cycle as uploaded by INEC, who have uploaded their names and vice presidential candidates and all of those. But only 3 or 4 names are being constantly referenced. The incumbent president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Atiku Abubakar of the ADC, Peter Obi of NDC and his vice, and then, of course, maybe Oyele Sowore of AAC, and then Adebayo Adewale of SDP. The rest are... Why are we just focusing on these 5? Why are we not looking beyond them?
You see, if we had allowed the government, there was no fierce battle, certain names will not even be there. Because the court will have disqualified them.
Especially the leading ones.
Yes, the leading ones. Atiku will have been disqualified long ago by the courts. And then NDC Peter Obi will have been, because the registration, the foundation of the party was what a court went to challenge. To say, okay, I gave you, I registered you, but you no longer have. But the only reason why that judgment didn't hold was because, a court cannot revisit a judgment that it has already given. That is why that judgment couldn't hold. And so INEC knew that and knew they don't have to go, INEC was trying to obey the court order, but they knew that there was too much in their spoon. Nigerians had already lost confidence in INEC, so INEC had to manage, carefully. The chairman of INEC was accused by Nigerians, that he was celebrating the victory of APC, and so forth and so on. So people don't see him as being neutral. Some religious organizations also saw him as somebody who hates, their own religion. And so he had so many things in his own plate. But when you know Tinubu, you understand that if he likes you, the country can burn, he can never change you, no matter the public outcry, Otherwise, certain ministers ought to have gone, because of their atrocious activities and so forth and so on. But if he just likes a person and you can take any problem for him, then you are home and dry, But even if that bidding hurts Nigeria and Nigerians, he doesn't care. Sovereignty, as far as he's concerned, lies with him. And so he's the one who will determine what happens and what does not happen. So if he appoints you, he wants to be the one to determine. Public outcry will never make him to change his mind. That is why even his policies, no matter how draconian they are, he does not allow people to interfere with his own policies. People have shouted over, petroleum price increase. It doesn't bother him. The floating of the naira does not bother him. The increase in the cost of power does not bother him. All those things don't bother him. If you like, you protest from now till thy kingdom come. that will be done on earth. He doesn't care. As far as he will only tell you that they are yielding results. And then those results are in the statements of government, press statements that government issue. There you begin to see, very fantastic statistics. But according to, how people feel, it is completely different.
Let me ask you, Alaji, some of this, about these 18 presidential candidates, almost, apart from Atiku Abubakar, I don't know who else is a northerner. I don't know, out of this about 18 presidential candidates. I know that most of them are from the south. In fact, 5 of them or so are from the southwest, as well as the president himself. I mean, Showore is from the southwest. Adebayo Adewale is from the southwest. Seyi Makinde is from the southwest. Donald Duke is from the south-south. So, all these guys from the southern part of Nigeria, how do you calculate, how do you see their votes eating into, the vote of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu? I'm talking about, real situation now. If we had a true election without manipulation or fraud and all of those.
Well, if we take a look at the whole thing, Tinubu does not seem disturbed. Neither does he seem to be perturbed. Yes, by all these things. It is because he has his own plan.
He has his own plans.
Yes. And his own plans, he is rest assured that he's going to win. If you watch Bayo Onanuga making a claim, he said Buhari did 8 years. Tinubu must do 8 years. So if regardless of whether Nigerians want or not, he must do 8 years. That must has always been what has been listened. And we've also heard, through the grapevine, that some governors, very leading close governors to him, have gone back to their people to say that the plan for 2027 is already concluded and that Tinubu is going back. So we all know about that. And then one of our respected Catholic priests, Archbishop Onaika, has come out to say that the man wants to win the election by all means necessary. So these are all confirming our worst fears, that the 2027 election is a fait accompli. It has already been predetermined. As usual, as it does not worry him, Nigerians can shout to high heavens, provided that INEC will announce him as the winner. That's all.
Okay, let me reference Babache Lawal once again. He sat here where you sat and he said, he knows President Tinubu very well. They go way back. They're very good friends. He says if he knows his friend very well, that his own conjecture scenario is that as we speak, the election results would have already been prepared. So every other thing we're doing, whether INEC, or people going to vote, is just like a script that is being played out. We're just walking to the answer. That everything we're doing is just like walking towards a predetermined outcome, which is more or less what you just said now.
Yes.
Is that what you're saying, Alaji?
Yeah, that's exactly. I am even saying worse than that.
Wow.
Because I know he has already felt he has won the election. That's why anybody's opinion doesn't matter. He does not listen. Any contrary opinion does not matter, provided his own opinion is the one that should be shining. That is why the visit by the Catholic bishops is not, and what they came out to say is nothing surprising. We expect them to do that. We expect them to hear that, and we expect them to say that. And so, having said that, I think their views are really, views that are, in tandem with the general aspirations of the Nigerian people. It captures the will of the Nigerian people. But again, I'm not saying that it's going to be an easy one for him. Even if he has already worked the answer. The answer is already known. It's just the solution to the answer that is unknown. That answer may change, because it depends on how Nigerians will protect their votes. Once Nigerians protect their votes, I can assure you that the answers will change.
Okay, you've referenced this visit of the Catholic Bishops' Conference of Nigeria to President Tinubu last week. And at that meeting, their lordships, the bishops, presented, like you said, the summary of the grievances, the feelings, the pains of Nigerians, to Mr. President. Number one, saying the country is bleeding and that the people are hungry. And then, and that INEC seems to have lost its perceived neutrality.
Yes.
That INEC is no longer neutral.
Exactly.
INEC has become a key player.
It's a willing tool.
And a willing tool in the hands of the ruling government.
Exactly.
But then, to the chagrin of all of us Nigerians, except maybe the president and his team, the president said no. INEC has never intimidated anybody. His exact words. INEC has never intimidated anybody. INEC is neutral. First thing is, people were wondering, why is Mr. President the one defending INEC? And then the president went on to say, oh, no, hunger has been around since before he was born. That all is fair in politics. Respond to this, sir.
All is fair and well in politics. Well, is it surprising? It is not. The president has always been consistent with this. He says power is not served a la carte.
That was long ago, before he even came to office.
Yes, even before. He said it's not served a la carte. You have to snatch it, grab it, and run away with it. What is the difference between that statement?
All is fair.
And all is fair in politics. They are the same thing.
Wow.
He is merely just repeating and recouching what he's saying in a different manner. Perhaps now that he's in power, so he can now use some rhetorics, to try to reshape that statement.
So you are saying this is actually a mindset of the president?
It is a mindset of the president. If you had heard, the meeting he had with some select people that went to him when the
politicians or not some people, politicians.
Yes, politicians that went to him.
Yes, IPAC actually, members of IPAC.
Members of IPAC.
Interparty
Advisory Council. During Ramadan fast.
Exactly.
The SDP presidential candidate said that the president told them that he cannot guarantee level playing field because he also suffered to be here, and so he will not also give anybody any free chance to go. You have to go and fight for it. Go and fight for it and win it.
No, you didn't say. He said what Mr. Bayo said, and he has said it not less than 3-4 times. He has said it here. He said the president said, "You have provoked me now." He was Dante.
No, I know that.
The president who was. He said, "Now you have provoked me."
Yes.
I'm not going to help anybody. When I was in opposition, I suffered. You are going to go and suffer your own.
Yes.
I'm not going to give you help anybody. You are going to suffer your own.
Exactly. Now, I'm only trying to paraphrase it. I didn't want to go to be more, I don't want to quote him.
Exactly.
If I quote him, that quotation is much more harsh.
Exactly.
Than.
Exactly.
But again, now look, this is somebody who is telling you in clear terms that he must win. Don't sugarcoat it. I must win.
And by all means. Because, sorry, Alhaji. Archbishop Cardinal John Olahikon said, the ruling party seems to want to win by all means, and that they have every means to use to win.
Of course, they have all the institutions are
in their hands.
They are on the last hope of the common man, which is the judiciary, is also in their pocket. And so, anything they want. This is the first time a government will never lose any case within the judiciary. This is the first time.
A ruling government.
A ruling government. Don't forget, Buhari lost even at the die minute over the currency swap. He lost in the court.
In your own government, no, not your own government. Obasanjo against Atiku 11 times.
11 times.
Incumbent president.
Even we in our own government, we have lost so many cases. We've lost so many cases. That is how the judiciary ought to be behaving. But this judiciary is in, a temple of concurrence. Anything the government brings to the table, they concur. So since they concur, people are now afraid to go to the courts, because even when you go to the courts, you are not sure. Even when you are right, clearly, you are not sure that justice will be served. So you just abandon your right, because you are not confident. Except if it is not political. Perhaps the courts may look at other issues that is not political. Even then, it has to go to the highest bidder. I remember one time, the late General Oladipo Dia once said that he knows of a judge who has 2 judgments in his pocket, one on the right and one on the left. That the judgment you get will determine how well you play ball. If you play ball, you get the judgment in his right pocket. If you don't play ball, you get the judgment in his left pocket. That scenario has not departed the Nigerian judiciary.
It has rather probably gotten worse.
In fact, it has gotten worse now, because when this administration of Tinubu came in, they were giving judiciary a lot of money that they were not even asking for. All in the name of trying to be able to woo them on their side. And then they now started doing what is constitutionally not their responsibility, by building houses for them and so forth and so on. These are ways of inducing the judiciary to be able to serve you. And then the judiciary don't care, perhaps because as far as they are concerned, the generality of Nigerians cannot feed them. Only government can feed them. So they will rather dance to the theatrics of government than to bother themselves about how Nigerians feel.
One issue that has arisen from this meeting of the Catholic bishops and the president is a couple of the aides of the president have come out, all guns blazing, viciously attacking the person of His Eminence John Cardinal Onayekon again, and I'm miffed, I'm totally, I'm in shock at the temerity of these individuals. Number one, I want you to comment on, because you're an insider in the presidency, you know how the presidency works. One of them, Temitope Ajayi, says, President Onayekon, coming out from that meeting to go on a TV platform to air the views, his own opinion on the outcome of that meeting, that Cardinal Onayekon breached, in inverted commas, presidential privilege or confidentiality or something of the sort. Please, Alhaji, can you tell Nigerians, when people meet with the president, is there anything sort of that you can't discuss what you discuss with the president in public, or I don't understand?
Number one, let me start by commending the Catholic bishops for their sincerity of purpose and why they perhaps accepted an invitation by Mr. President, because I heard that they were invited. They did not write to say they are the ones who want to pay a visit. They were invited to come and pay a visit. And it is a civil responsibility. It's a civic duty that they have performed. The Catholic Church has been a very important instrument in the Nigerian democratic space. I say this with all sense of sincerity, because prior to the government, takeover of schools, the Catholic schools were the most predominant within the country. Catholics were offering services in both the health sector, the education sector, and in other sectors of the economy. I remember one of the best hospitals in Kaduna, St. Gerard's Hospital, is a Catholic hospital. It is one of the best, and up to now, it is very cheap. They are very attentive, and they try to save lives. Most of the schools in Kaduna then, St. Anne's, St. Gregory, all those schools were Catholic. before government came to take them over. So Catholics have been offering, real-time services to citizens. Now, if the Catholic Church has a conference of their pastors or bishops, coming together to come and pay a visit, it is because they are well acquainted with the problems that are going on within the society. I used to know that we normally buy books when we were in primary school from Catholic bookshops, at a very affordable rate. We buy books. So
subsidized.
So we know their role, in nation building. So one cannot dismiss them as merely a feeding center. They are not a feeding center. And where will the Catholics be able to generate their money? Is it not through the same people? Where will they generate money through the people? When the wealth of Nigeria that is generated through the resources, both natural and human resources that Nigeria possesses, is vested in the government, and government is supposed to, provide such services, and then government is passing that responsibility to the Catholic bishops or to the Catholic Church. But nevertheless, let me say this is very important. The Catholic bishops' visit to Mr. President, their ability to come out to express themselves, is not rooted in any caveat. Because when you go to see Mr. President, nobody tells you that, look, you are not free to discuss these issues outside. No. The only thing perhaps that will happen is that, please put your phones outside.
You cannot record.
You can't record what was said. But if you can recall it, that is your own distance. And it is not a privilege. When you pay a visit to Mr. President, one, nobody tells you that this meeting is confidential. Nobody should know about it. Nobody tells you that this meeting, you have the right to say it. Now, it is the failure of the presidential media team that led to the breakdown of this issue. Now, since they ought to have been there, and I'm sure they were there, they are supposed to take notes of what had happened and then issue a statement immediately explaining what the Catholic bishops said and what Mr. President said immediately. That will have stopped the Catholic bishops from coming out to express themselves, perhaps because it will have captured everything that they have said. Now, if such thing was not done, and that gap is still subsisting, the media, will now be willing to, interview and find out what really happened, at that meeting. And they want to tell members of the board, and the public are eager to hear that. So, Archbishop Anaikans coming out to explain what happened, one, it extricates the Catholic bishops. Number two, it shows that they did not collect brown envelope. Because if they had kept quiet, mute, then Nigerians will say, oh, they have bribed them, so they couldn't even talk. We don't even know. They are now agreeing with what government is doing. Number three is that they didn't go there for praise singing, and that they are not professional praise singers. They have been observing. They are more interested in the well-being, welfare, and smooth of the downtrodden. That's what is their major interest. And when they went there, and they were trying to tell the president, this is perhaps if the president had agreed with them and told them, I'm going to take certain steps to address this thing, perhaps it would not have escalated to this level. Now, you shouldn't bother yourselves about media aids. The responsibility of media aids is, as they are professionally known, they are spin doctors. They are expected to change the narrative to support the president, but they can do it with all sense of decency.
Let me take you up, because you said they are media aid. You were once a media aid anyway, in that same office.
Yes.
So you are the best person to actually ask this question. One of the media aides, I told you what Tope Ajayi said.
Yes.
Which is a bit more, diplomatic and more finesse. But now, a certain Daniel Bwala, my very dear brother and friend, came out and wrote a long epistle on this matter. He went on to ask that Archbishop Onanuga must apologize to Mr. President. Can you... Did Archbishop Onanuga commit any offense?
No, number one, I have tremendous respect for Daniel Bwala, but, ordinarily I would not have commented on this matter. But what I will say is that it is not in the position of Daniel Bwala to say whether the Catholics were speaking on behalf of other Christians or they were speaking on behalf of themselves. He should allow the other Christian denominations that are there to come out and say, these people are not speaking for us. Yes. Now, jumping the gun and trying to do that is merely to save face. It is not within his professional responsibility to go out and say they are not speaking. They didn't go there to say we are speaking for all Christians. They went there with a name. And their name is Conference of Catholic Bishops of Nigeria. That's the name they went there with. They didn't go there to say we are Christian Association of Nigeria. They didn't go there to say that. They went there as... But as they spoke, it's now touching the conscience of every Christian. And so no Christian will go against what they have done because they are doing it in his own overall interest. And so somebody else on the side of the president coming out to say they are not acting on behalf of other Christians is merely expressing his own opinion.
Are they even speaking just for Christians alone or for the generality of Nigerians?
Am I a Christian?
Exactly.
Am I not applauding what they're saying? Am I not telling you the services the Catholic Church has been rendering to Nigeria
since the history of this country?
Since the history of this country. What they are saying, do you substitute truth with any other thing? When somebody is saying the truth, he is not saying the truth because it affects him. It affects everybody. The truth can even affect him negatively. But he is saying the truth because it is in the overall interest of Nigerians. And what they have said is in the overall interest of Nigerians, and Nigerians are applauding them.
As we round up on this bit, Cardinal Onanuga said, in that meeting, they observed that the president is apparently not used to people telling him the truth. That they also saw that in the faces of his aides who were at that meeting. I saw Bajabe Amila there, I saw Bayo Onanuga there, and a couple of other people. He said it was obvious that they didn't like them saying the kind of thing they were saying to the president, and that his own general conclusion was that the president is totally, divorced from the reality of the true situation of Nigeria. I want you to comment on this.
No, it may not be. The president has various means of getting information. It depends on how the president processes the information and how he decides, on those type of information. If he has time, he can watch television. On television, he will see people, speaking. I have spoken severally on television. He will have seen me criticizing some of his policies. And so he will know that the people are, but they will only tell him that, don't mind that man, he's a PDP man. He's just giving PDP views. But the other Nigerians are very happy. They can even sponsor, a research team that will go and interview Nigerians across the 36 states and the FCT. And then they will plant their people in those respective states who will now be saying, well, the president is doing very well, we are very happy, we are excited with what the renewed hope agenda is working perfectly. And then they will bring it to him. And then he will say, oh, but why are these people who say, don't mind them, they are opposition? These are the things he will be hearing. Now, Catholic bishops don't belong to any political party.
Exactly.
Catholic bishops don't associate with any political party. Catholic bishops are not, in support of any presidential candidate, even though some of them accuse them of supporting. No, what Onanuga said in 2023 was that his vote is not for Tinubu. And what was the reason? The reason is because his faith has been excluded
Absolutely.
from the rulership of this country.
Yes.
And he has the right to do that. It's a Muslim ticket. No Christian is part of that ticket. So he does not see that ticket will do justice to his own faith, in his own opinion. And so he has the right. He didn't say, I'm going to support Peter Obi, or I'm going to support Atiku, or I'm going to... No, he said, my vote is definitely not for Tinubu. That is not to say he doesn't like Tinubu, or he does not believe in Tinubu, but he does not believe that Tinubu has been just to Christianity by taking a Christian Muslim vice president. He, Muslim vice president, ostracizing the Christian faith, excommunicating them from the rulership of Nigeria. So he has the right to express his views as he sees them. And that should not be misconstrued to mean that he is in support of any other political party. Onaikan is well known. During our time, he has criticized the president, and so forth.
Obasanjo's time, Obasanjo was in the church where he, Onaikan, was preaching, and Obasanjo was seated there, and he criticized him.
Exactly. So what is the point? Some people are saying that why is it that they only provide criticism, not praise? Their duty is not to praise anybody.
Exactly.
When they see faults, their duty is to express those faults so that government will correct them, and which will now lead to perfection. If they begin to sing praises, then who is going to believe them when they criticize?
Exactly.
Then everybody will say they are echo chamber.
Alhaji, let's switch gears to this running marital feud between, I call it marital feud, between two estranged, couple, former President Olusegun Obasanjo and his vice Atiku Abubakar. They've been at this. They've been at each other's throat forever.
Yes.
Even when they were in office, especially from the second term of that administration.
Yes.
2003 to 2007, and it will seem like every election cycle they will resurrect their issues and start all over again. They've started this cycle again. They've been at each other's throats, name calling. We had Paul Ibe here, Atiku's media advisor, who alleged that former President Obasanjo has been recruited by President Tinubu to ensure that President Tinubu does not lose, re-election, and that they see Alhaji Atiku as a major threat to his re-election. So everything must be done to stop Atiku Abubakar. What do you say to this? I mean,
well, Paul Ibe may be well informed, on this, but I'm an outsider, and as an outsider, I will look at these things much more differently.
Absolutely.
The way
dispassionately,
than the way Paul Ibe will look at it. I know that there is no love lost between Obasanjo and Atiku, and that this matter has been overflowed. One of my favorite Nigerian heroes, I would say, is Obasanjo. I like him because he's very courageous and he speaks truth to power at any point in time. Even though during this Tinubu period, we have seen less of that. I don't know whether it is because of, the ethnic or tribal rivalry that exists within that area. That is why he's been very careful not to talk, so that they will not see him as an enemy of the Yoruba people. So he's been very cautious. But I know him; he does not. He doesn't hold, his own. No holds barred. He speaks his mind all the time. But all this letter writing and what have you, it has never emerged.
In this 3 years now.
In these 3 years, I remember when some students went to visit him. He said he told them that never reinforce failure.
Exactly. Under Buhari.
That there are challenges when you are brought in, And those challenges, were the reasons why if there were no challenges, you will not be brought in. And so don't reinforce failure. He has said so many things under Buhari, but under Tinubu, he has been very cautious. He has not been saying. So I was thinking perhaps, he's been very careful, being a Yoruba man, and the Yoruba people will say he's an enemy of progress, because the Tinubu administration has always shown by conduct, act, and deed that this is a Lagos government, Lagos Yoruba government, so, and the Lagos press and the Lagos people are more vociferous, so they can, resurrect attacking Obasanjo. So perhaps that is the reason why he's been careful. But having said that, it is not, and as an elder statesman, a well-respected Nigerian, I respect Obasanjo all the time. He is not supposed to be resurrecting fights. It is like you are a nagging wife. You don't forgive. Something that has already passed. You have written a book on it. You have done this. You have done. Every time you have to bring it up. It is more or less belittling your status and your personality. I don't want him to always be bringing the issue of Atiku all the time. People have to come and reconcile you severally. The first time, Reverend Father Hassan Kuka and Gumi were the ones that went to Ota to reconcile them. Another one, was done behind closed doors, and then Atiku was escorting Baba Obasanjo to, to sit down for, I think, whether it was a book launch or something. So every time they get back, and then another crisis comes up. I don't think Tinubu recruited Obasanjo to cause chaos for Atiku. I don't believe it, because I remember there was a time we went to visit Obasanjo, and somebody went to ask him, for a favor, to be able to, talk to Tinubu. And the person came back to tell us that Obasanjo said, this government, they don't like me, so I can't talk to them. So I don't know at what point they got back, and...
Let me drill further on this. Part of the allegations made by Atiku team, Mr. Paul Ibe specifically, is that the Obi Kwakwanso ticket is the brainchild of President Obasanjo. That by luring Peter Obi out of the ADC to go to the NDC, Peter Obi's presidential ambition, at least for now, has technically been, more or less, buried, sort of, that they are not going anywhere. And that is why, and that President Obasanjo is actually working for Tinubu's re-election, that it's a grand design, grand scheme, and that the only person effectively who can muster enough votes to cancel out or deny Tinubu his re-election is Atiku Abubakar. What do you think?
Obasanjo supported
Peter Obi in
2023. Yes. If Obasanjo supported Peter Obi in 2023, Obasanjo is looking for somebody to support. Perhaps because he's not interested in Tinubu, and neither is he interested in Atiku. So he wants a third force. And Obasanjo has always been talking about third force. Now, he supported Peter Obi in 2023, and Peter Obi was able to muster about 6.1 million votes. And so, in his own view, that if Peter Obi is able to get a very formidable deputy, perhaps he may be able to win the election. That is his own view. Because the other time he had that Baba Ahmed, and that Baba Ahmed was even unable to win Kaduna State for him. So perhaps if Konkoso is able to win Kano, and then maybe make some inroads in Jigawa, Peter Obi now is able to win those traditional states he won before, perhaps they may carry the day. So I don't think he was recruited. I just believe that it is his own way of saying, I'm not supporting Tinubu, I'm not supporting Atiku, this is my own candidate.
Okay. Let's leave
and then, he believes also that the Southeast, yes, it is the turn of the Southeast. Obasanjo has always been saying it, that the Southeast deserve to be there. So these are some of my thoughts.
But this, what you said now, it runs counter to, your earlier submission that, Yoruba people would see him. He does not want to be seen by Yoruba people as being a spoiler to a Yoruba incumbent president. So
No,
why is this backing?
I'm talking about criticism.
Yes, exactly.
No, I'm not talking about support. I'm talking about criticism.
Not criticizing.
Yes,
Tinubu.
that why he's not criticizing Tinubu. But support, he has the right to support anybody he wants, But in terms of criticism, perhaps that is why.
Alhaji, let's leave that and come to your party, the PDP. Which we don't know which presidential candidate you are fielding. The Wike faction uploaded the name of somebody, and your faction said it's President Goodluck Jonathan. Even though President Goodluck Jonathan never bought any form, nobody saw him anywhere, speaking to delegates and all of that. What's going on with the PDP? Are you even going to field any candidate at all?
Number one, President Goodluck Jonathan is our candidate. I have said it several times. Some people say, but he has not come out to say so. I said he has also not come out to deny so. So, and in law, silence means consent. Now, we have submitted his name. The reason why we are not making any noise about it is because the matter is before a court. There are two judgments that we are asking the court to interpret. The judgment of the Supreme Court and the judgment of the Court of Appeal. Now, if those two judgments are given express interpretation, we are very confident that the judgments were in our favor. So what we want is to make pronouncement that this judgment, this is what it means, and INEC do what is required. And then his name will be uploaded,
Okay, let me ask you, as we wind down, because of time.
But I need to say something.
Okay.
So that people will understand, the listening public, that the fact that INEC didn't give us the code does not mean that our candidates are thrown out. This thing happened to us in Ekiti. In the Ekiti election, Oluyede, we were given the code and then INEC blocked the portal. So we submitted manually. And after Oluyede went to court and the court gave judgment, the court directed that his name must be uploaded. And his name was uploaded and he stood for election in Ekiti State. So the issue of uploading or recognition by INEC is not final.
Now, let us do scenario now. Should in case PDP does not have a candidate in the forthcoming election, I want you to give us an answer. Don't avoid the question. Which of these candidates are you going to back in the presidential elections? President Tinubu, Atiku Abubakar, Shewore, or Peter Obi, or Adebayo Adewale? You have to give me a name. Who will you back?
I will back Goodluck Jonathan.
No. Goodluck Jonathan is on the PDP. I'm saying if PDP does not ends up not fielding a candidate, which of these? You have to give us a name.
I cannot wish my party will not field a candidate when a matter is in court. It is something that is pregnant. You cannot tell me to choose outside the scope of my party when the matter has not been finally determined. If the matter has finally been determined, then I can now make a choice. But as it is now, I stand with my party.
Okay, Goodluck Jonathan is your candidate.
Yes.
Who is your second candidate after Goodluck Jonathan?
I don't have.
That's why they call you Sani the cat. Yeah, that's why they call you Sani the cat. I don't know why they call you Sani the cat.
Yeah.
Okay. When you were here the last time, we talked about this Presidential Foreign Intervention Promotion Council.
Yes.
That scandal with Gbajabiamila Miller.
Yes.
You spoke extensively about it, and now the House of Reps quickly did a so-called investigation without calling the two dramatists personnel, both the Adeyemi, Prince Adeyemi Adeniyi, and then the main person, what's his name, Gbajabiamila Miller. None of them showed up at that committee. The committee summoned the Adeyemi, but the police did not bring in. So they hurriedly tidied up. What's your final conclusion on this?
I have made a classic comment in one of the national television stations. They asked me this same question, and I said, I do not see justice in both ICPC and the House of Reps. The House of Reps is where Gbajabiamila Miller was a presiding officer. You cannot be a former presiding officer of a place and for that place to give valid judgment against you It is not possible. And look at what the House was busy doing. They were just busy comparing signatures. That's the only thing. They said they were doing forensic examination of signatures. That in 8 places the signatures were the same, and in 1 place the signature was not the same. That is rubbish. It is not only signature alone. There are so many issues that have come up, which were not addressed, which a judicial commission of inquiry will have, been able to address. So questions that will embarrass Bajaber Miller will never be asked. Questions that will embarrass the government of Tinubu will never be asked by that committee. And so that committee's job is merely to scratch the surface, but it has not done anything. And that report in itself is a nullity. Some other Nigerians have even gone to say, because they spoke to the man himself, so the man is guilty. They do not even know what it means when we say we should do an investigation. The man, even if you speak to the man, it is what the man decides to speak to you that he will tell you. But put a judicial commission of inquiry, lawyers will come and argue the issue, and the truth will come out. There will be, people will be placed on the oath and on the witness box, and they will be interrogated, and the truth will come out. If you say his agency is fake, how can you bring him before ICPC? ICPC that is investigating real workers of government. His own is fake. So he should not go before ICPC. He should go before a commission of inquiry. And a commission of inquiry, once established, will have other prominent Nigerians, like civil society, will be there. And so there will be no room for maneuver. Here, you are the one, he who pays the piper, dictates the tune. You are the ones who appointed the ICPC chairman, and all the ICPC chairman, as it is now, is a brother to Farouk Aliu. Farouk Aliu is from Jigawa State. Farouk Aliu is an APC chieftain. The secretary of ICPC, Wiki, how could you expect justice there? Which justice will you get?
Alhaji Sani, thank you so much for coming. That's why you always here on this show, to provide this kind of details that we don't even have,
Yes.
Interesting.
Thank you.
Interesting, Alhaji Sani.
Yeah, it's my pleasure.
Thank you for coming once again.
You're welcome.
And we'll see you again very soon.
No, hala.
Thank you.